The chaos reigns.
She belongs to the street.
Yes, yes, yes. Welcome. Welcome to another edition and a special broadcast here on the Chaos Reign Show. I am Chaos Reign here. If you are new to the Chaos Reign channel, welcome to the Chaos Reign Show. And for those that will be future subscribers, you know the deal, you know the drill. You hit that red button and you hit that top notification bell for all uploads and live streams here on the Chaos Reign Show. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at Chaos Reign 7 and add me as a friend on Facebook, Eric Reign on Facebook. Also, you could join the before I said Discord, follow me on Rumble as well. I forgot to put the description of those links. I apologize. We'll do some very soon. And also join the Discord service of the Chaos Reign Show. And I think that's all the links that I can recall right now. Man, to be honest with y'all people that's going to catch this on the live and replay, I didn't really want to look into this and cover this personally. But since this got so much attention, and personally, I think I'm not sure what's wrong with black folks today, in my opinion. I think we have a certain, how can I say it? I think there's something in us genetically that is predisposal to be just keep accepting and falling for the crap and accepting others as friends and don't understand that your game stab in the back in the long run. Even to the point that black folks are too nice and they're open with open arms other cultural groups of people into everything that they establish, create or let's say trying to control. Either case, as you know, it has to be discussed and it has to be talked about regardless. I do have some. I take full pleasure doing these type of content to let y'all know on the bottom of my heart, and I gotta be real with y'all, and I'm gonna do this till the wheels fall off. That do not be surprised. The people that you watch, you consume, or you love, or even you go as far as let's say help to grow their platforms. Don't always take it personal. You always gotta look at the end of the day as business. At the end of the day, I think the problem with a lot of folks, black folks, in the business when it comes to us is best to screw as many, and I mean as many of us as possible, and to give our time and attention to those that don't really have no best interests for us, whether it's your money or whether it's your eyeballs. All attention is always worth gold to anything else. So after giving that little ramble, as you know what I'm going to do, I'm going to give my own take. Oh, before I give my take, I apologize. What is the title for today's stream? Oh, yes. The title for today's stream is titled, let's look. It's the one they call Pearly Thingz, or Pearl of Things, or Pearl Things, whatever you want to call it, if I want to edit that, if I want to. A White Supremacist. Now, I'm not sure I've ever talked about white supremacy on this channel, personally. I don't know if I ever did or ever will. But let's say I go there tonight with it. I gotta be honest with y'all. I think how I look at outside looking in, I think majority of black folks don't really give a crap about white supremacy. Personally, in my opinion, from what I'm understanding and been paying attention with detail. And I'm not saying this for laughing giggles. I'm being pretty honest from observing that when we talk about white supremacy, I think black people either they know or do know or don't really care. I think as a whole, we don't give a crap about it, personally. I heard from the grapevine, the one with the blue hair that is a bisexual man that is floating around on the YouTube space, I don't know what his name is. Yeah, I might know who I'm talking about. He one time went on a few people's podcasts saying that he wants to have the right to call or use the word nigga. And mind you, he is a non-black man, white man mostly. I think he's from down south, maybe, could be wrong. And he wants to have the right to use the word and find nothing wrong with it. And he's in his right way to say and use any word possible in America, because America is a free country. But by using the word and calling somebody and using the N-word in front of black folks, you're asking for a mean sucker punch to the opposite race if you do so, unfortunately. And I'm saying this personally because black folks, regardless how America said racism is over, there's one thing that's evident: black people are not going to be comfortable, and that is non-black people calling other black folks the N-word. And that's the honest truth. So, like I said, be a maid, but be always known for your own discretion. There is consequence to everything you do. And that's way of life. So that's what I've heard. Now, I'm not sure if it's real or truth or not, because I can't find the audio clip or the video that this dude said out his mouth that he feels is in his right to use the N-word. But let's say I'm just letting y'all know ahead of time, if anyone like him or anybody else have an idea of doing so, like I said, you do to your own discretion. It is what it is. I've seen too many videos out here from a lot of non-black people, white males particularly, calling other men that's pretty much black the N-word, and the end result is not always in their favor, unfortunately. So, like I said, I mean, just give you a disclaimer, a heads up. You can go do whatever your heart desires, but I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah. So that's that. Now, as I'm looking at the time, it looks like people are watching from the clouds. That's fine. If y'all guys are comfortable as I'm running this video, please interact in the chat room. I want to hear from y'all. I don't mind, rambling, but it's always good to see participation for this one, especially for this one, because I'm probably gonna run this video, and let me see if I can find the necessary banners. And I got to give my own take from my own point of view. We're going to go through nearly an hour of this. I'm going to give my own perspective from this and give my honest opinion. Oh, yes, for sure. Let me post that right there. From my good friend Virgil Berry, A Real Talk Podcast. Go find him on YouTube. Subscribe to him. Yes. And if you notice, Virgil, especially a lot of dudes, black men, have been vouching for this particular Caucasian woman. For what reason? I don't know. Bro. I wouldn't do so. I would not do so, but every man is in their own opinion. And as I'm doing some editing right now, let me say this. All right. And I'm going to have to change the banner of this. Okay. All right. When y'all refresh, it's be good. All right. So let's begin. I'm not going to hold y'all time. Let's look into this video right here. And if you guys are watching from the clouds, because the chat room is open tonight, if you feel you should come up and express your thoughts and opinion on all this, I will open the call lines. If you're there, Virgil, or anybody's watching, if anybody's interested in coming up and give their own thoughts and opinions, let me know. But no further ado, let us begin and go through this bull crap. And like always, fair use in effect.
Conservative too.
Yeah, they're conservative. They're not as conservative as me, but they're very supportive. They're boomers, so they have this we'll support you no matter what you do, that kind of thing.
Now, what you see right here, this particular gentleman is named Nick Forte. Forte, I think that's his name. Nick Forte. Yeah, his name is Nick Forte. He is a known, I guess, proclaimed racist. They say he's a white supremacist, And he's been known throughout the digital space. His track record speaks for himself. I guess he got thrown off major platforms from Reddit, Twitter, I believe YouTube. And the reason why he's gained the platform and thrown up, because he has some strong views politically and very strong views racially against, and very racist from the word on the street. So let's move forward and run this tape. Fair use in effect.
It's funny, though, because when I was growing up, that was the attitude, and I think they meant more like, you could be an artist, not like a far-right extremist, So yeah, they don't necessarily support everything I say, but they support me as their son.
Mm-hmm. So when did this start? So, like, where did your career start? I know you...
Oh, and for people to know, this is found on some Warrant TV media on YouTube. I think this is where you can find this actual videotape. Oh, really? Let me read the chat room. Can I see somebody wrote some things in the chat room? She definitely needs to be held accountable for her very insinuous and disparaging, and might I add, very condescending remarks indirect towards us FBA man. Yes, and we're going to go into that. And one guy, brother, wrote, Ubuntu, he's a good friend with Kanye. Oh, I did not know that. Interesting. Very interesting. I think Kanye is Republican. As you know, Virgil, yes, she should be held accountable. And how I look at Virgil, from my eyes, she could have did this for a much more deeper agenda. As you know, as content creators, controversy sells. And I think with her, she either deliberately did this or really truly this is what she always wanted to do anyway, regardless of the situation is. She did this content for much deeper intentions. But let's keep going on. Fair use in effect.
You worked for the Daily Wire at one point. Was that the beginning?
Almost. Yeah, I knew a lot of the people there. I worked with them. This was 6 years ago. I went to school in Boston, and I linked up with this girl, Cassie Dillon, who she was working with them at the time. She was a fellow there, so she wasn't actually an employee. I guess she was kind of like a glorified intern. And so,
is she a YouTuber now? Should I know her?
No, she's not really relevant, but she was just an activist. She was a journalist. Okay. She was responsible for some viral videos during that whole SJW Gamergate thing that was going on back in 2016. And so she had a show on Right Side Broadcasting Network. They're the people, they used to stream all the Trump rallies. They're really big on Rumble now. And so they brought on a bunch of people.
Oh, to let everybody know, all the politics and everything that you'll find that's going to go down in regards to people's views of who might win the election, who's fraud, who's fake, who's real, it all goes down in Rumble. That's why I always advocate people to follow me on Rumble. Please. I'll put the link for Rumble account. I might do one as I'm running this tape, so y'all can follow me on Rumble. I would appreciate y'all following me on Rumble and add, and so it could build up, so I can start doing content in Rumble. So the markets, I'm trying to get at least 35 followers, maybe more. I think the rule is you got to have a certain amount before you can go live. So if y'all can follow me on Rumble, I'll appreciate it. I'll drop it in as the video continues. So let's continue. Fair use, in fact.
After the election to do shows, and they brought her on. And I met her, and we got to know each other, and so she got me a show there, and so I started doing a show every night, and I never stopped. So that's what I still do today, but independently now.
Okay, so wait, so who did you say it was before?
Before, it was Right Side Broadcasting.
Okay, and what happened with that? Why did you stop?
Well, I got fired / quit because I went to the Charlottesville rally. You know Charlottesville?
You went to the Charlottesville rally? Why?
Well, I mean, look.
Wait. Who did I bring on?
Okay, well, look, so look, I'm not going to throw them under the bus, but in fairness, it wasn't quite what I thought it was going to be.
Okay. What do you think? Okay, wait. Okay, so you at 18, is that roughly when you?
Now, as you know, the riots that happened in Charlottesville, North Carolina, I think it happened like 5 years ago, I believe, or it could be 6 years ago. 6 years now. It happened either 2016, 2017. It was one between those years it happened. And personally, a few people lost their lives. A particular woman that ran a particular person that last time I checked, he's doing time in prison right now for that. Okay, commit attempted manslaughter. So let's keep going. Fair use in effect.
You started.
I was 17.
17. Okay. You start streaming.
No, I was 18. Yeah.
You start streaming with this media company, and
there you go. There you go. It happened in 2017. Thank you. He just said it. How we know? Because this man right now is about to be 24 years of age. Or he might be 25 now. So it's either between 2017 or 2016. It's between those 2 years. Let's continue. Fair use in effect.
then how long did you stream for them?
About 6 months.
Oh, that's it? Was it that long ago?
Yeah, February 2017 to August.
And then you went to the Charlottesville. Why did you go to that?
So initially, people had reached out to me in May 2017, and they said, hey, do you want to speak at this rally? And they told me who was going to be there, and it was all these alt-right types. And you
put alt-right. They're not actually alt-right. You just said the quotes.
Well, because people's understand it. People would consider me alt-right.
Okay.
But
you not? You're not alt-right.
I'm not.
Okay.
Now, that's not to say that I'm not like a far-right person, because I am.
So who is alt-right?
Well, it's guys like Richard Spencer and Mike Enoch and those.
Who's that for the average? I don't know who that is.
They're all these guys from really they were more prominent 7 years ago, 7 years ago, and they were kind of like the far-right fringe during the Trump election. But the disagreements I had with them were, they're not Christian, they're atheist. And they had all these other kinds of views about, basically they were racist liberals. That's what a lot of the Christians and the far right.
A lot of racists. And I'm going to say something about these conservative black men and etc. And y'all can hear my views from what I'm noticing. Oh, what's good, crew? What you been up to, crew? It's good to see you in the chat room, bro. What's good? What's good? I see you, bro. Yeah, crew. I bet you kept busy. I know you used to play games now. Oh, what's good, Eaterell? What's good? Like I said, I gotta drop the link. Yeah, I'll drop it in a little bit, guys. Let me just go through the first 15 minutes, and then we're gonna drop it. Oh, that's what's up. I see. All right, let me keep going. Fair use and effect.
Scene, we would pejoratively say you're just a racist liberal, because they were liberal about women, they were liberal about everything.
What do you mean when you say they were liberal about women and everything?
Like they were feminists. They believed in equal rights, and they thought that women should work, and they believed that women should participate in politics, as one example. They were in favor of abortion, but they also just happen to be in favor of a white country, having a white country.
Now, isn't it ironic this man said that women, liberal women, especially, they're more favor of laws that favor them? But you hear a lot of men in a lot of sectors in space, they talk about the conservative, but they never date or marry on the average conservative women. And if you remember D. Darrell, if you remember the conversation I had with you, what I got from another brother, I think Mike B. And one thing, his analysis that he has confirmed, and I'm going to go there, that a lot of conservative women are not in the business. They are not in the business of dating and marrying black men. And it blew my mind when I think deeply about it. And they use examples like Candace Owens, some of your more popular, richer celebrities or people in politics, black women that's in that arena, that they're conservative, that some of them date out, marry out, which I didn't know. But personally, when we talk about these stupid labels, we have no idea what we're saying. We don't even know what it really means to be this, that, the third. Liberalism, conservative. And I don't really fall loving these labels, because when I look at it as a person, and majority black men must understand this, that no matter what political stance you take, you're not the majority of this country. Your voice matters, but it really doesn't matter, personally. So if you're not really in the political arena and really fighting for what is yours, you're just a person sitting back and waiting for the so-called white man to pull the strings and make the moves while you sit back and fold your hand like a good boy. And that's true. Anyway, let's keep going. Very recent effect.
So they were racist liberals.
Oh, I didn't. Okay. So you're saying they were feminists because they believed in equal rights.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they also believed in a white country. So it's like they would actually be accurately white supremacists.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Okay.
But ideologically, they were liberal. They just also happen to be racial realist is a term that was very popular back then. And so anyway, so I saw the list there. That's the reason I put it in scare quotes, because people would call me that. And I understand the differences are very granular, and most people wouldn't really understand that because they're not into it like that. But I never consider myself that. So I took a look at the list, which was like David Duke and Spencer and these types, and I said, yeah, not really interested. And then August rolled around, and it was a week before the rally, and I heard that all these other people are going to be there. I heard that Faith Goldie was going to be there, who's a friend of mine, Gavin McInnes, Sam Hyde, and these were more like mainstream figures and people who I liked. So I said, all right, I'll take the trip out there, and well, the rest.
No, I don't even remember. So what happened? Someone died, didn't it?
Yeah, this woman died, and there's a lot. It's very contentious what exactly happened there because
there was a shooting. Is that what happened?
No, she got ran over by a car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what happened. And it was another boy that was roughly his age did that, and he's doing serious time in jail. And a lot of people say because he was underage that he should not face the full extent of the law. You are actually wrong in that equation. When you, as a person reach adult age and you out there in the crowd engaged in nonsense and you hurt and maim somebody, there's consequence to that. And I think the law is going to be much in favor to not only black people, black men especially, but neither their own, especially if they engage in that type of criminality. So let's continue. Fair use and effect.
It's a Charlottesville shooting, but
yeah,
on here, but okay. She got ran over by a car, and that was who ran her over?
This guy who was with this group called Vanguard America, which if you've heard of Patriot Front, maybe not. They did a lot of these viral rallies recently, and they're a splinter group from this group called Vanguard America.
And Vanguard America, that's who was throwing the event?
No, they were like a participant.
Oh, they were one of the participants.
Yeah, because the rally was technically called Unite the Right.
Okay.
And so the idea was to bring everybody together.
From
but like
the right.
a lot of like unfortunate people showed up who like nobody really likes and ruined it for everybody.
Like who?
Like the National Socialist Movement and Vanguard America and these types. And so now, for the record, I wasn't there at the Tiki Torch thing. That's like the famous picture is people with the tiki torches. I wasn't there for that. I got there the morning after. That was the Friday night. Saturday morning was the actual rally. And the purpose of the rally was they were going to rename the park. It was Robert E. Lee Park, and there was a Robert E. Lee statue at UVA. And so they were going to take down the statue, rename the park. And so the protests that converged in Charlottesville typically were about that. So I was there to protest the changing of the name. Also, it was about bringing the right wing together.
Now, these people fighting and still fighting hard to maintain and keep America, I guess, white. That's my check. But as you know, times are changing. Things are shifting. They import more people that are mostly white and so-called non-black. And America is, in time, going to be a tan country. And personally, what people like him or others try to do is they're trying to hold on and preserve any white so-called American, I guess, natural-born American history in this country as best as possible. They do not want to remove the racist statues. They don't remove most of anything that is semblance of so-called masculinity, mostly European/white masculinity, unfortunately. Oh, and as y'all got watching, please, guys, like the stream, hit the like button. Likes are free. Hit the like button and share this. That white life and white preservation is now the focus for a lot of people that's following the so-called arc right, or anyone that is, white in general, just to preserve something. That's their biggest focus right now. And they take and recruit enough young individuals like this dude to accomplish their greater goal. Let's continue. Fair use and effect.
And so I went there for those reasons and for those people. And then it turned into this big, ugly disaster, because Antifa showed up and there was this big clash. But it was a really bad look for everybody, so RSBN fired me.
Oh, and so they fired you because you were there, even if you explained why you were there?
Yeah, and here's the thing. I mean, and this is not me like downplaying it. This is just me saying what happened. I was there for like 2 hours. Like there was a Tiki Torch thing on Friday. I got there Saturday morning. By the time I left my hotel, the actual rally had already been dispersed by the cops because the rally goers were fighting with Antifa. There was so much violence, the cops just shut it down. So I left my hotel, and it was basically over by the time I got there. So I really didn't even participate. And that's not to say, I mean, I supported the cause of bringing the right wing together and like protesting the removal of the monument. I didn't like everybody there. I didn't like everything that went on there. But I got blamed for it. I was all over the press. I was in the Chicago Trib, and I was on the Today Show, and I didn't know how the media works, but they kind of propped me up as like, oh, this is like a radicalized white nationalist teenager.
And you were 17 at the time, right?
Yeah, or 18. Yeah,
18.
I just I was 18.
Wow. And
Remember, people, these boys, these young white males, Caucasian males, I think roughly under 18 or going from maybe teenagers to up, they already understand their position in the world. Hell, they probably understand their position in this country. And they find outlets in regards to, what's the best word? Preserve their power, for lack of better words. And they will seek and find outlets or people that's like mine in regards to achieving that greater goal. If you think about it, when the internet first came around and it really started to take off back in the mid 90s going on to the end of the 20th century, going on the first year of the 21st century, you notice that there are a lot of blogs that were created at the time for people to, I guess, house their thoughts and opinions to other people. It's like a little digital group, or what do you call it, a digital meeting, where they go in these message boards and express their thoughts through digital writing of how they feel and act, and what is on their mind. So when one person reads what is on their mind, others will either agree or disagree, and you create a bigger following for that means. That's how it all starts. So like you see the young gentleman, well, he's not young, he's in his 20s now. But back then when he was a teenager, he make full use of the internet, like most young people that don't use the internet properly, to really network to find like-minded others so that they could sit there and carry out a more bigger, not dream, but agenda for their own doing. They understand at age 6. Oh, one guy wrote, CC wrote, they understand at age 6. Yes, and that is the key age for a lot of young males. They get them at 6 years of age because that is the most vital year. Because once you get them on 6 and you cultivate them, you got them forever. Person. All right, let's continue, guys. I don't know if I'm going to fast forward this, but just bear with me because I'm only going to play 46 minutes of this. I'm probably going to drop the link for those that want to voice their opinions. But let's keep going. Fair use and effect.
So, and wait, so the whole purpose of that was literally just to protest the name changing of the park.
Well, that was one of the reasons,
and then unite the right. So bring right, all these different right together.
Right.
But the problem is there's actual extremists at this movement.
Well, I'm an extremist. there were people that were like, just like, goofball, like skinhead types. And I'm not about that. I mean, I'm a Catholic. I would call myself like a Catholic reactionary or something.
So you're soft. You're in groups that are hardcore and you're the only soft dude there. I don't know about that, man. Usually those alt-right groups, those skinheads, they're very much extremists. They really want to only exude their message, but also want to take action to enforce their rhetoric and their beliefs by the means of violence. So if you're a little soft Christian male, I'm not sure where you fall in the circle of the alt-right person. And I think most of these dudes, as I look at it, they probably bring their ideals somewhat and play the background where they let the real tuggy thug soldiers, the one, the hillbillies, the ones that really want to get in the mud, do some serious damage. This is what I'm noticing. I could be wrong, but fair use and effect.
Like that, but you had guys there that had like NSM is the main one, National Socialist Movement. Their flag is like a swastika flag, and so I don't really identify with that scene. So they showed up, and it turned into the meet.
I mean, you gotta prove that. All right, you don't identify as a swastika. You sure about that? If people pull your shirt off right now, there will be no signs, no symbolism on your body in the form of tattoos of swastikas. And mind you, the swastika is an inverted symbol of Egyptian symbol that came from Africa. Nothing's original, people. Anything you see the European have that's in regards to some form of symbolism, he has stolen it and reverted and claimed as his own. And I can't tell you the book that reveals this. I remember Booker T. Coleman had information and pictures explaining all these symbolisms. If you could look him up on YouTube, that would help you. I think his name's Kame. Anyway, fair use and effect.
Media labeled it like a Nazi rally, but that's not really what it was.
So then what happened next in your career? You just started streaming on your own?
Yeah, so I basically just started doing the show the next week on my own YouTube channel.
And then you never worked for the Daily Wire?
No,
because where's the beef? I'm just trying to figure out where this beef came from with like Daily Wire and Turning Point.
Yeah, that doesn't really have a whole lot to do with me. They have beef because Turning Point USA is very aggressive with how they push themselves on the campus. Daily Wire is affiliated with this group called Young America's Foundation, and they fight for market share on the campus, basically, with like the conservative campus scene. So there's some antipathy for that reason, and also they're in competition, basically. So. But I had hung around, like Cassie Dillon was Daily Wire, and I hung out with a few of their writers, this guy Elliot Hamilton, Aaron Bandler, a few others, and they were getting ready to offer me a job because I did some things for them, and they wrote some articles about me, and I kept...
All right, I see a comment by Mr. Nation Service LLC. I'm here, and I've been quiet catching up to the stream, but you are right with what you said in the beginning. Black people don't care about anything that has been a threat to them, and they will never will. I forgot your name, but that's a nice, cool name. But they're not, and the reason why they will never will is because Black people today in the 21st century are very much accepted and comfortable in their position, men and including women. And trust me, I see some TikToks with these ladies been putting out here about their affection, love for non-Black mates. And I'm telling you right now, that's not going to work, sweetie. If you're already comfortable and you're willing to open your legs for any man to save you from your problems, unfortunately, sweetie, and this applies to all you ladies of any age, you are a loss. And that's the honest truth. Anyway, let's keep going. Fair use and effect.
Pushing on the Israel issue. And so they blacklisted me. They cut me off. Then they went out everywhere to Media Matters, which is this left-wing hit piece mill, and they started sending clips from my show and saying, this guy's a Nazi, do hit pieces, call my boss, try to get me fired. So
tell me the Israel issue, because just for the average person isn't going to know what you're talking about.
Sure.
And I sure don't. So
yeah, well, it's really kind of simple. I mean, people don't have to agree with me to see the contradiction that I'm about to explain. So I supported Trump, and I still do, because he's America first, which is really like a non-ideological position. It says, look,
I would have to say I had to disagree. I think, no, this is what I know. Trump is more than America. He's more for himself, personally. America is nice for a lot of Americans, but let's be honest. In America, operating and how we live and how we should be functioning in America, you have to act and conduct yourself as a capitalist to the point where you are self-identified as an individualist. And I'm telling y'all this personally. And y'all guys watch, please like the stream. I see more people watching. Please like the stream. America only functions under capitalism because they need somebody to suck the blood, the resource, meaning fiat currency and time of others, while filling up their end of the belly and making them even fatter with your time, your energy, and your resource, which is your dollar bills. And your labor too. That's how capitalism works. It was not designed to be an even playing field. I heard one person said best, when we look at America and we look at lower, upper, and middle class, if you understand the history of how classes have been structured, we could say, through our own understanding, if we do the reading or we follow the streams that give links to these reading books or and information that will verify this, that we can conclude that the middle class, as it stands today or as it is slowly pummeling, that it was a created entity for the last, I would say 40, no, actually, for the last 70, is it 70? Yeah, for the last 77 or 78 years. And since it was a creation by the government by default could also erode and erase the middle class as well, or preserve what is once called the middle class. Now, y'all don't take my word for it. Y'all gotta do your own thinking and your own observation. Have y'all noticed that inflation is on all-time high? And things are not stable in regards to your work, how much work you put in, especially depending on the level of job you are in, that is not equating to your average way of living. Have you noticed that? The wages have not really changed in over roughly almost 56 years, since the end of the 60s. Wages have been flatlined. It only creep up a little bit, but by the time wages reach to $20 an hour in all states in America, they already plan ahead that they are not paying people the wage, which roughly is $40K a year on the average in America. If you look at $20 an hour, these systems are not in the business trying to make it easy for you, depending if you're a low level skill or even your skill gets higher, a fair wage. Well, let's keep going. I'll go more into that, but let's keep going. Fairies in effect.
This is the American government. Mm-hmm. The American government is going to represent the American people and not the interests of foreign governments or multinational corporations. We're going to do what's in the best interest of the citizens, not like the rich or some global elite or the United Nations. Pretty straightforward. So here I am, a right-wing college guy, waving the flag, saying, yeah, America first all day. But if you look in conservative media, all they talk about is Israel. And I thought that was very conspicuous. Prager University, Breitbart, Daily Wire, they would have 3 articles that totally made sense to me. Like, here's the case for low taxes. Here's the case for, having kids, not having kids out of wedlock. Here's the case for whatever. And then they'd have an article like, here's why Palestine has to be wiped off the face of the earth.
I remember seeing that a couple years ago.
And you always got to question, why are they writing either positive or negative reviews of another established state country like Israel since it was established in, 1948? Why are they writing hit pieces of negativity? Could it be because they are getting filled up with the help of the United States or other European nations? Or is there some other means why there's this negativity that people keep talking bad about Israel? You always got to use your critical thinking. Why they keep talking bad about it? It's something that Israel's doing that people are still talking about it. And mind you, America already has its problems already. But something about that country that people write hit piece and all that stuff, which is always you always, as a person, you always want to be astute to have a clear understanding why things are written the way they are, why people are talking about, why they're not talking about. So you have context. So things from your own perspective, if you do the time research and have the clear, open thought to understand what is the real end game, why they keep talking about it, will better suit you in not only the short term, but the long term of things. Now, I don't talk about things about Israel or what Jewish people do on this channel because it's irrelevant at this point. The world's theirs. One more you need to think about. If you want to understand them, you must understand for what you read for their books. Their books will tell you more about them than just what you hear from word of mouth. It's a waste of time. And trust me, last time I checked, most people don't do enough reading anyway, so they're not interested to understand other cultural groups from the Irish, the Italians, and Jewish people. So let's continue. Fair use and effect.
Because when I first started watching conservative media, but I was always just so confused because, like, the average person, we don't really understand foreign policy. We don't really understand what's going on overseas.
Right. Well, yeah, because it's not our country. It's not our business.
Right.
And so I thought that was very weird. And when I was younger, when I was in high school, I was all on board with that. I was like, yeah, okay. But then I started to...
And wait, just sorry to break it down a little. Israel versus Palestine, you're saying that there's like a war there going on?
Yeah, it's very contentious. And there's a lot of history there.
It's over borders, right? If I remember correctly.
Well, fundamentally, it's over land.
Okay.
Because 100 years ago, the Jews owned 5% of the land, and they were 3% of the population over there.
Okay.
So they were a very tiny minority at the beginning of the 20th century. They had almost no land, and...
Well, you have to really dissect that to know why they own 5%. You can't say why there's a small population but own this great percentage. There is cause effect for everything, Mr. Federal. What's his name? I forgot this guy's name. Hold on. I don't know this guy's name. Shit. What is his name? Hold on, guys. Let me find the name of this dude. Let me see. Let me go to my history. I gotta know what his name is, because I be saying this dude's person. I don't know what the hell his name is. His name is where is he? Nick Fuentes. Yeah. Nick Fuentes should understand why they own or why they do what they do. And it goes back to dedication and educating yourself to understand who are these people. Let's continue. Fair use and effect.
There were no Jews there. And then they began this active campaign to settle what was then called Palestine. And that's the Roman term. You know, it's called Palestine under the Roman Empire. And at the turn of the last century, it was the Turks, the Turkish Empire, that controlled that area. And so the Zionist movement, that's what Zionism is, because the Jews never had their own country. They were scattered all over the world since the Second Temple was destroyed in the first century. So the Jews scattered all over the world. And
you said that's what Zionism is? Sorry, Zionism is? I'm sorry,
yes.
I don't know these words.
Yeah.
So it's them trying to take the land?
Zionism is, in the late 19th century, they said, hey, like, we want our own country. We want our own country that's just for the Jews. The problem is, well, everything's taken. You know, they looked at the map of the world.
I mean, yeah, in some way we could say that, but like I said, this dude is 24 years old. I don't think he's well read and well studied about the Jews. I mean, I don't mind when people talk about other groups, people, but at least more deep with the history. Say they want to own this and that. You gotta know why. What are they? I mean, come on. It's like me running around my mouth, but I don't know no history of the people I'm talking about. And that's why I'm gonna tell y'all this. And I'm gonna vouch for a second for those. And welcome to everybody that's watching. If you want to understand your position in history, you must understand your place in their history. That will lead you to the better understanding of your own history in theirs. John A. Clark said this best when he was confronted, when he was in his journey of what we consider enlightened or seeking knowledge. with the help of Arthur Schomburg, a black Puerto Rican in New York of that time during the early parts of the 20th century, like 1910 or one of them years. He told Jerry Clark, if you want the real answers, you must go through their books, their histories. And I think this dude, Miss Forte, does not make the conscious effort to study their history. All right, let me see see somebody in the chat room. Okay. Let's keep going. Fair use.
Was there first.
Right. But that was not the only place they considered, because they talked about settling in Uruguay and Zimbabwe and a few other places, and they settled on Palestine for religious reasons and historical reasons. And so they began to settle the land. And so they moved there and they started agitating the Muslim. They actually were terrorists there. A lot of people don't know this. Everybody says Muslims are the terrorists, but it was really the Jews that kind of invented that in the Middle East against the British, against the Americans, against the Muslims. They did bus bombings. They bombed civilian infrastructure, military infrastructure.
The Jews did. Okay.
The Zionist settlers.
Why is the narrative that, because if I remember correctly at the time, the narrative.
And like I said before, it's good that he's mentioned this information, but reference would help, because run your mouth and no clarity of where you get this information would help better, personally. And we know they are involved in a lot of things, but wherever there's a story that's put out there, someone has wrote it in a book or somewhere, personally. And mind you, other Jewish authors write on other Jewish people. So if you're going to run your mouth, it would help to reference some things you're saying. Because let's be honest, you saying this on another person's platform without no actual receipts or some form of what they call it, reference they could look up to it is considered babble to majority of people that will watch this content or might hear what you're saying, but they're not really going to believe what you say. Personally, I'm just saying. Various in effect.
Was that Palestine was doing it? Is that untrue?
Well, they do it now.
Oh, okay.
But it's about the power dynamic, because 100 years ago, the Muslim government was in power, and then it was a British government, and the Jews were in the minority, and they were agitating for their own state. Then they got their state, and they built up a military, and they got all the support from America, and now the Muslim Palestinians are in the minority, and now they use these guerrilla militant terror tactics. So it's really just about the power differential, and that's kind of what
but your point of view is that they were.
This is boring. Let me see if I can fast forward this show, guys. Bear with me, because I don't mind people reference some things, but he got to show some receipts for this. He can't just make up. Well, I can't say make up, but you can't say things you're not referencing some things. So let me do this. Let me think. 1 second, guys. I'm not gonna hope this stream and going through all this and this is not even making reference.
What?
All right, guys. I could probably fast forward now. Let me see if I can go 18 minutes into this. Let me see. Let's see what a minute goes into this. Fair use.
People, their identity has resisted assimilation for thousands of years. Think about it. Jews have never had a country until 60, 70 years ago, but they've maintained their religion, their culture, their ethnic identity, being scattered all over the world and minorities in every country. Almost every other group assimilates, and they eventually become like the people around them, or they'll intermarry and they just get diluted to the point that they don't exist. Mm-hmm. So, and that's not for no reason. They have a very strong Jewish identity, and so what goes on in Israel is of great significance to them, and they have a personal stake in that. So
that's why you feel like conservative media talks about that so much, even though it's not an American issue.
That is
and
why,
that was the issue that you had with the different conservative media places.
Yeah, and that's where that beef came from, because here I was naively hearing the rhetoric and the branding, which was America first. And I said, yeah, America first. And then I said, well, okay, America first. Well, I don't see how Israel fits into that. Mm-hmm. And then they said, whoa, yo, you're asking too many questions. Literally.
I mean, no question is wrong question, but you have to, and I'm going to repeat this, if you're not well studied in certain parts of history, including the people that you reference, these people, the Jews, I mean, you sound stupid in the long run. And I don't mind y'all when y'all, and this is for educational purpose, not only humor and content, but this is for a deeper purpose, is that how I look at when I view content from anybody, I always look at the age of the person. I always got to ask these definite questions. Okay, you claiming these certain tribal groups. What books have you read? Understand the history of these tribal groups. If he can, and he's talking about these people been around for 1,000. Okay, what books have you read to verify your understanding? And trust me, Europeans throughout the centuries write books on themselves. And if you can't find a book, the internet is the first place of reference that will guide you to the breadcrumbs of finding certain books that verify each claim you're saying. So let's continue. Fair use and effect.
Like, you can't ask that anymore. I'm like, well, why not? And specifically because...
Did they say that actually, like word for word? Wow, really?
Yeah.
Who said it?
This guy, Elliot Hamilton, who worked for them.
Elliot Hamilton.
And he's Jewish.
I feel like, have I heard that name before? Is he on Twitter?
No. Well, yeah, maybe. But he's like a low-level writer.
Okay.
But he literally told me, it's anti-Semitic to ask that. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. And the arrangement specifically that I was talking about is foreign aid. Mm-hmm. Israel's the #1 recipient of foreign aid from America.
Really?
Not only Israel, but other countries as well. And if, like I said again, if you don't understand what is foreign aid, what is purpose for it, and who gets foreign aid from this country, you said Israel, to all other countries. There's other countries, mind you. And this is why there's no clarity and transparency of what he's saying. It's not just that countries getting foreign aid. There's other countries getting foreign aid. I'm just saying. I don't know what this has to do with black folks. Now I think about listening to this conversation. Now I could have taken this clip and found the actual stream that another person covered, but you know me, people. I try to find the actual source for a lot of this stuff. Personally, I had to find a source because I don't want no one else's perspective of what I'm seeing. I gotta listen and watch and hear for myself to get my own perspective. And thank for those that's liking the stream. And I know y'all bearing with me because y'all not heard this for the first time. It's gonna get there, trust me. Let's keep going. Fair use and effect.
Really?
Yeah.
How much money do we send over there?
$3.8 billion per year.
We send them $3.8 billion a year. Wow.
And here's the thing. That's a high number. They've been the #1 recipient since 1978. Mm-hmm. You know who the next highest recipient is? Egypt. Egypt is the second highest recipient because we basically bought them out. Egypt was going to war against Israel for decades until we started paying them basically to not do that.
Really?
Yeah.
And would the conservatives say that's not true?
They
what would
say.
they say?
All right. Who's in the chat room? What's up, Miss Marvel? 3118. What's good? I know you guys watching me patiently. I'm trying to go through this to find the actual timestamps because this is the actual video. So I'm going through this slowly. I will fast forward from time to time to hopefully find the ones that really was the ones that was said by Miss Pearly, things that got a lot of people in their frenzy. But let's keep going. Fair use in effect.
Their rebuttal would be that, well, we give them so much aid because they're our closest ally and they do so much for us. But the fact of the matter is that there exists an extremely influential lobby in America that lobbies American politicians to support that foreign aid. It doesn't have anything to do. In other words, we don't give Israel that money like because it makes sense for us, or Egypt for that matter. We give them that money because politicians are paid and influenced by a foreign interest lobby to pass those policies.
But could you explain that more? I'm sorry.
Sure.
Well, besides explain this, so in what you're saying, young dude, that the people that have the bigger pockets rule. Is that what you're claiming? I want to hear the answer for this. And mind you, I'm be honest with y'all. For clarity, always be suspect when you find any man that's under the age of 30, like him, reference and saying things and not giving key points or reference to where he's understanding or learning or getting this type of information. And I don't want to hear that this dude's talking about he goes through Google. You get, man, I ain't gonna go there. I'm gonna leave that alone. Very use effect.
Yeah. So in other words, like, if I'm an American saying where should we send our money, I would probably send it to, I don't know, like the poorest countries in the world. Like that would be a place to start. Where is it? Like sub-Saharan Africa.
Do you think we should send any money overseas?
I think it's part of me says no, like we should rebuild our own country first. Another part of me says that's part of foreign policy. Like there is a benefit sometimes for giving foreign aid. Because look at what China's doing. China is spending a lot of money in Africa to build up these countries so they can harness the raw materials in Africa because they have all the rare earth minerals that we now need for like phones and computers and things. So China's spending it very wisely, and they're building up infrastructure. They're building ports, highways, bridges.
Where are they doing that in Africa?
Well, they're doing it in like the Congo.
Oh, okay.
The Congo is a very resource-rich country. They're doing it in West Africa.
But the idea is that,
and like I said, you name one country. There are many more countries. I can't name off my head personally. If I can remember closely, there's a few countries. There's an actual map, and I think you could probably Google it, or it's somewhere on the internet that shows where China potentially will control certain parts of African countries. And the ones where they stamp and place their flag, those are the countries they actually harbor. The money that they get with the help of America or the West, that they give to the presidents of those African nations to, suck up the resource within their country, and in return, they will build infrastructure. You got to know this. You have to know that. But like I said, most people, when they bring these young people in because they're so influential, speak it like they know what the hell they're saying. And 9/10 of the time, there's babbling overall. Anyway, let's cut to you. Fair use in effect.
There's something in it for them. And you feel like in Egypt and in
Israel,
sorry. In Egypt. So you feel like in Egypt and Israel, there's nothing in it for us.
No, there isn't.
And so you're not necessarily against sending foreign aid. You're just against sending foreign aid for interests that aren't ours. And these interests seem to be for the Jews. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah, okay. Exactly. It's, in other words, it's if you're an American and you're going to lay out, should we send money? Where should we send it? How much? if you were doing that with our interest in mind, you wouldn't send it to Israel and Egypt first.
Right.
The reason it's sent there is because there are very influential groups that lean on politicians, and the politicians make the decisions about where to send the money. Because there's like a group, here's a good example. There's a group called AIPAC, American Israel Public Affairs Committee, and their job is to lobby for foreign aid and for things like that. Every president speaks at their conference. The congressional leadership of both parties speaks there. 2/3 of the congressmen speak there. And that would be like if there was a group lobbying for China that said like we support the People's Republic of China. We want America to do everything for China. And like imagine if all the politicians spoke there. You'd be like, oh, like the government's owned by China.
Oh, and so you think that the government's owned by Israel and Egypt?
Yeah, not necessarily Egypt, but yeah, Israel.
How would that even work? Just because they...
Yeah, like I said, if you feel in your heart, or you might you conclude that that's the case. And mind you, America is a form of corporation within itself. So America, as we know it, can be up for sale or has already been for sale some time now, if we want to go there. But to sit there and conclude that it's owned by Israel, I don't know if I want to say that, but there's no real actual logical proof because other countries invest into America, which he's not going to really go into because, like I said, he's not well studied into the subject matter. He's not really understanding how world works, geopolitical, all that stuff, or any other information to understand really how a country really works. Let's continue, and let's hear his answer. Fair use and effect.
Like, are the politicians getting money from them, or is it just because they're connected with Jewish people? Like, I'm thinking logically, because if someone random's running for office and they're not Jewish, how are they owned by a country overseas?
It's about the money.
So they're just getting paid.
They're getting paid, and here's the thing. If they don't go along with it, there's all kinds of consequences. Like, often what will happen is if somebody goes against the interest, the easiest way to get them out of office is to pour a ton of money into a primary challenger. So if I'm like a Republican and I say, you know what, like no more foreign aid, the Republican Party and like these influential Zionist groups will fund a Republican to challenge me in the next election for the Republican nomination. And often, that person will win because money in local races and like, or not local races, but, in congressional races, it goes a long way. So they'll do that. The other thing they'll do is hit you in the media. Like, look at what happened with Ye recently. He made those comments.
And yeah, this dude is in love with Kanye West. So I'm going to fast forward because now it's become a babble. I apologize, guys. I have to fast forward this crap. 1 second. All right. Let me fast forward, guys. I'm trying to find the actual. I know, my dude. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to find the actual part, and sometimes I don't regret because I want to do my own analysis on this. Let me go 31 minutes into this and see if anything I find that's ticking. And I'm going to skip through it so I find the one that was the one thing that got a lot of people, triggered. So let's continue. Fair use and effect.
The feminist language.
Yeah.
That's what the feminists would do.
That's what they jump to. If you ask a question, you're an anti-Semite. And so I just wouldn't stop. I just kept pushing and pushing. And this was the text. And me and her were like good friends and everything. And she had this big affinity for me. I literally have a text that she sent to Shapiro that she had sent to me where she said, you got to take this guy under your wing. He's so impressive. Like, I like this guy, whatever. And so she texts me And we were like, it's not like there was any falling out personally. It was just over politics. She sent me a message and said, Nick, I can no longer talk to you. We are no longer in the same movement. What you're pushing is dangerous and hateful and anti-Semitic and blah, blah, blah. Never talk to me again. The whole crew blocked me on Twitter, stopped talking to me. And then...
Yes, and they should, because the people that run the infrastructure and got the pockets ruled. So they said they're going to have to submit to their authorities because they got their bigger pockets. Oh, God. Oh, I'm going to fast forward, guys. Give me a second. Screw it. Let me keep playing. Then I'm going to fast forward.
I got a call from my boss at RSBN a week later, this guy, Joe Seals, and he says, Cassie has been calling me every day for the last 2 weeks saying that I need to fire you because you're racist and you're an anti-Semite. So not only did she cut off the friendship and blacklist me, but then she starts calling my boss.
She Karen'd you, huh?
Yeah, it's for real.
Yeah. Was she white?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of course she's going to Karen you. What do you expect, man? She getting her paycheck paid by these people. Now, I'm not sure how this dude is living right now since he's going so hard at another group of people within the tribe. I don't think he's really making much money now. I could be wrong, but who knows? Let's keep going. Fair use and effect. Yeah, you see this, Dederell? You see this? I know Dederell. Yeah, I'm also drop. In next 5 minutes. I'm gonna have to drop the link because I'm trying to find this thing and I can't find it. So next 5 minutes, I'm gonna drop the link for the call lines. So stand tight, people.
we are the best Karens.
Yeah,
we do Karen it better than anyone else.
That's true. Yeah, that's not sure that's like something to be proud of. It kind of is, though. Actually, I'm actually in a way kind of like pro Karen.
Karens are needed. I'm not saying like sometimes we're in the wrong, but I honestly think like Karens are the ones that do the shit that no one else wants to do. Now, you might have been on the negative end of the Karen.
So, Miss Pearly Thingz, are you saying you're a Karen? Hey guys, that's still watching. Give me a 1 if you think that Miss Pearly Thingz is a Karen in disguise. Or if not, give me 2 and say no, she is not a Karen. I want to hear from y'all. Let's continue. Fair use and effect.
Karen stick, right?
That's
but they all probably wanted you fired or wanted you blacklisted, right? Karen's just the one that did it.
Yeah, that's right.
So from my point of view, if the guy next door is having this loud party and I'm the one that goes and complains, everyone wanted it to stop.
That's right.
I'm pro Karen.
I am too. They're upholding the standards.
All right. At Ash from the Sun says they're on O'Shea's page. Hold on. They're on O'Shea's page talking about they knew she was a grifter. Yeah, I believe so too. I think she's a grifter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I agree. Let's continue. Fair use and effect.
In society, we have no standards, but like women are the ones that are like, he didn't take our order yet. I'm going to say something, So it's like you need, like my mom, classic. She's Italian, so she's not like a Karen like these white ladies. But she'll like, she'll say something. She'll get
Let me
nasty.
call the manager. Let me talk to your manager.
Sometimes a manager needs to be called. That's all I'm saying.
Call. I am not I will Karen.
I'm here for it.
If I've been waiting for my check for 45 minutes, I'm talking to somebody.
Yeah, someone's going to hear it.
We're all thinking the same thing.
Yeah. Just Karen's the one who's going to say it. God bless.
Yeah. I agree with you guys that she's definitely a grifter. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Miss Pearly is a definite grifter. Yeah. Fair use and effect.
Okay, but she Karen'd you, so that wasn't too fun.
That wasn't cool.
No.
That was a bad instance.
It's not good when you're on the other side, right?
No, yeah, that was wrong. That was too much Karening there. Yeah, and then she, there's this, the first hit piece that was written about me was in April 2017, Media Matters hit piece, where I said something on my show, and I was talking about ISIS, because ISIS was really big at that time. Mm-hmm. And I said, look, we can't bring over people who want to kill us. I said so. And the defense is always, well, the First Amendment, you can't impose a Muslim ban or something like that because of the First Amendment protects religious liberty. I said, that's fine and well. I said, and you have Muslims, and then you have what are called Salafists or Wahhabists.
What does that mean?
That's a sect of Islam. Wahhabism is the religion of Saudi Arabia, and they're like very fanatical, and they're the ones that believe the most radical things. So I said, it's fine and well to have a First Amendment, but you can't bring people over here that want.
All right, I see somebody right in the chat room. White men in red pills was wondering why black men push her up. In my opinion, the reason why black men as a whole, in general, why they'll prompt this Karen, I believe they prompted her is because she reminded him of that old, beautiful, old little white woman teacher or someone of any prestige, in my opinion. That's why I think why they prompt her up. And I'm doing some right now, guys. It's funny. I missed something. I'm looking at the thing right now, and she did talk about immigrants. So let me do this. Let me play to see if this is the right marker. All right, this is what I'm gonna do. I think I'm going through what the other brother did on this content, and this is 33. So she's a Karen, yes, and she definitely is. White man. All right, this one I'm gonna drop the link because I'm already halfway mark of this. I want y'all to guys, if y'all have any more to say on the subject, or if y'all watch yourself, y'all can come up and express your own thoughts and opinions. I'm gonna keep running this, and I'm going to look down and find through the other end where is the actual timestamps, because the confusing thing about all this is I'm trying to find the right timestamp for all this, and that's what's getting me lost in transition. All right. And I'm trying to find it now. Let's see if this is the one. All right, well, I'm gonna keep playing. I think it's around 50-minute mark. This all comes around. So let's keep going. Fair use and effect.
To kill us. Like, the founding fathers didn't pass the First Amendment so we could bring over people that believe in the ideology of ISIS. It was actually put in place to protect various kinds of Christians. So Media Matters, Cassie Dillon sends this to Media Matters, and they blow it up, and they say, oh, Nick Fuentes says the First Amendment doesn't apply to Muslims. And it's like, well, that's not really what I was saying. But anyway, that was the first hit piece. And so it was a few months after that I went to Charlottesville and then got fired.
Oh, and how many hit pieces were written on you from the conservative side?
I didn't really get attacked from the conservative side until a few years later.
Oh, that was a left-wing organization, Media. So why was she, if she was a conservative, why did she know the left-wing people?
It's a great question. What you'll find...
Simple, because she plays both sides, you dummies. There's no such thing as conservatism. I know why black men especially follow conservatism. Well, other groups of people don't follow that bullshit. Matter of fact, they have the right to conserve more than us as people because they have more at stake to lose if they don't conserve nothing. Personally, but anyway, I have D Durrell up here. What's good, D Durrell?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. As you know, I'm passing through this content. I think I might have missed certain pointers because, as you know, this is the actual video,
Right?
as you can tell. And I don't mind other people do content from and they take from somebody else's point of view, but you know me, dude. I don't like doing that. You get me? I like to find the actual video and play it for the first time and hear what's going on, what's been said from my own perspective. Because over here, as most people understand, we have to fake and give our own understanding of what's being said. And
Right.
you know the content creator I told you, well, I'm not gonna mention his name because everybody know who did this content over that as Brain Buzz. But so far from what I'm hearing from Miss Pearly Thingz, as I know, I skipped through it, but y'all could watch it for yourself. That yeah, she did agree with this racist dude, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's some parts that she did say about Africa, but I had to keep playing through, and I might skip the extra 15 minutes to find that part, hopefully. But as you could tell, you know, she stands firm with this dude because she has the same ideology like majority of them that black people want to keep. Don't want to keep. Actually, black people refuse to really pay attention to and really accept it as is.
Right.
And I put the question out there: is, you know, is Pearly Thingz a white supremacist? You know, and that's just a very good question. Because if she's not a white supremacist, why is she having white males that are supremacists on her platform?
Exactly.
And agreeing to everything and not do one pushback.
Not one at all.
The first you, D Durrell, as I'm going through, I'm going to try to find the actual clips. So go ahead.
So my position is this: as this guy talks about going to rallies that attract a certain type of white supremacists. So white supremacists have a history of conjugating with like-minded people for festivals, events, and so forth. Why is it that you're consistently, since you want to claim you're not a white supremacist, but you continue to be in events that attract Antifa and all these other different types of you know, Aryan Nation, white supremacist like organizations? And notice he went out of his way to say, you know, they're there, but I don't represent that, and I got blamed for everything. No, you consistently see these people because y'all have like-minded perspectives. That's why you all attend the same organizations. This is not going to consistently happen unless you have some similarities. And then as he talks, you notice, you know, you start talking all about, you know, Jewish peoples, the state of Israel.
Yeah.
All of this stuff is consistent with other white supremacist organizations that have issues with Israel and they have issues with Jewish people. This is consistent.
And I'm starting to notice that now with this young boy right here.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, and I know that America's composed mostly of them, and I get it. And for those that's watching, please, guys, like the stream and share if you can. This is a discussion we have to really have because I don't talk about this in depth on my channel, but we're going there tonight for more clarity. That this is a young white supremacist that was in the making since he was a teenager,
Right?
And as you know, as he goes more into the rabbit hole and goes even deeper into his racism, it is known fact that, like you said, Darrell, they talk about immigrants, but their real main focus, the real white supremacists, besides us as black folks, they really focus on the one they call Jewish people.
Facts.
And it hit me, you know, saying, out of all things, because they already put themselves in position because they put money and ties that keeps the infrastructure going in America. It makes sense why they put the parameters to protect themselves, not for black folks, but for these people that you see on the screen.
Right.
Because think about it, because he kept going in on it and keep sticking his nose in businesses. Look what's getting it, where it's got him.
Right.
So when we look at when they give these labels, I want people to have a clear understanding. They do this for protecting themselves for these type of people. And mind you, you're not gonna know who is considered quote unquote Jewish amongst their groups of white folks, because every white person are different tribes. Some are French, some could be Italian, some could be Irish, and they all are boxed in under the color labels of law, in which we call white, black. You get me?
Right.
So when you hear these so-called low-level extremists like himself, going at it and giving out talking points and stuff, I said this early in the stream, Deidre, and I'm sure how much you listen to, and I'm saying, okay, you are referring these group of individuals, these people that said run the world, run the country. Okay, I get that, I understand it, but here's the problem: can you reference certain books or things that you're well read or well studied to really hold claims to some of the things you're saying? They're not gonna ask these dummies these questions.
Right.
How the hell I'm a dude talk about other groups of people and I'm not well versed to understand, even giving reference of 1 or 2 books just to get them started?
Right.
I will look stupid on live broadcasts. But listen, the internet is a funny place, bro. Where you have this dude right up here, right? Will run his mouth, just like Jared Taylor, or any of these so-called low white supremacists. That's what they call them, right? They say the same dumb shit. It's consistent when you hear these dudes talk.
Right.
It's like, y'all guys read a script before you come on air? Or what you about to say? I'm just saying, because this young boy is no different from all these other dudes that are put on a pedestal on national news or even internet blogs or podcasting. Their rhetoric is consistent. It holds no bounds. I'm not learning nothing from these dudes. I'm here covering it, and I'm fine to say, you guys sound like a broken parrot, like some dudes in the space. And this is what black men is listening to, bro.
Right.
They are listening to this. And they feel if they are conservative or hold a certain position, they are considered safe.
And they
Hell, I tell you, not only they consider themselves, but they said they're doing this in regards to fight against the black woman, or what they call the black bitch. They keep reference.
That's correct.
And personally, I don't take them seriously, bro. They don't have no leg to stand on. They don't stand nothing. They're not making no moves politically. This is as far as they get. Open their goddamn mouth and put it on platforms where people could listen and accept. And one guy writes, white folks are on code. Yes. Even the ones that's crazy like him. I can't say he's insane, because to be sane, you gotta have you have some goddamn sense and know what you're talking about. Now everybody said, could he be wrong? I can't say that, because there are certain things he could probably say as factual. But the problem is, when you're on the live air where the whole world could see this, you had to have your shit in order, bro.
Right.
Because anybody that has a brain, which this system is slowly but surely trying to make people more dumb, which is a fact, unfortunately. Because how we know? Because anytime you can consume content in under a minute and look at it as content, but look at anything else beyond 5 or 10 minutes and find that you get tired, sleeping, bored, that's where your intellect is going. In the doo-doo, in the gutter, in the toilet. I don't need to say more. Let me see. Let's keep going. Fairies in effect. I'm going to skip through this. I'm just going to go for 1 minute and I'm skip.
Is that the conservatives and the liberals collaborate a lot more than people understand. Mm-hmm. And they collaborate to keep out basically people like me. Like conservatives would have no problem working with ADL, SPLC, Media Matters if it's to screw over a guy like me.
Oh. And that's because you're against the Jewish people, you think?
Well, I wouldn't say I wouldn't say it like that.
Not like against the, I don't know, Israel? I don't know how you
Yeah,
say
it's not like this Jewish mafia thing that's going on.
Okay.
Jewish
so then where did your
mafia
beef
thing.
come
Wow.
from?
I'm fast forwarding that garbage now. Let me fast forward. I had to fast forward now. And I'm not saying he's right or wrong, but really, come on, man. Afterwards, if I'm hearing this, that, third, I mean, you're not giving no reference, bro. I mean, when people look at it, they go look at it as some weirdo because now, mind you, there are scholars in the past, Deidre, if you watch old Pan-African documentaries or videos, and there are people that gone back and forth with these people that these guys talking about, right? But the problem is these dudes had a history of well-read research and books they read with knowledge to reference everything they say. Even their own scholars, bro.
Right.
That's what separates this dude you see on the screen to the elders that did real scholar research and had conversations with these people. And a lot of them cannot refute what they said because they know they did some homework on them. And one thing is, Evan, what white people respect is if you well known that you do your homework very well, because remember, they do a lot of studies on a lot of people.
All the time.
And if you're well studied in the knowledge and real well read and know it as clear as snow, they will have to respect you. No, they'll hate you, but they respect you because they'll say that you're not a dumb dude. You did the time and energy to find out and learn as much as possible. Anyway, fair use and effect.
My channel.
Yeah.
Susan. Oh wait, it's not Susan anymore.
Yeah, no, new person.
Whoever the new appointed CEO, please keep this up, please.
It's an Indian guy, I think, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Just put some pro-India stuff in
Yeah.
there.
Hey, I like India, sure, yeah, all day. We like T-series, yeah. But so I'm a controversial guy and all of that, but it has definitely hurt. I mean, I'm banned from like PayPal, I'm banned from credit card processors.
Wow. And that was all after Charlottesville?
That stuff came a little bit later.
Okay.
I got banned on PayPal in 2018 or 19.
Okay, so 18, you're beefing with Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro, right?
2019.
Oh,
I'm beefing with Charlie Kirk.
I'm saying you were 18.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And so then what happened next?
So this girl gets fired for being in a picture with me, and we kind of make a big stink about it. And it died down for a little while. And then Charlie Kirk went on tour, and it started in Colorado, and some people that watch my show, some followers of mine, unbeknownst to me, they went to his event and they started asking him these very pointed questions about his views. And so one of the questions was about immigration. And this was like...
All right, I think this is the one. I believe this is the one. Deidre.
It was similar but different to the Daily Wire thing. The main issues about and I'm about to explain all this. The main issues that I had with Charlie Kirk were three things. So he goes out and he's like, to his credit, Turning Point is a wildly successful group. They bring in $40-50 million a year. They're on hundreds of campuses. They do these big conferences. Like, they're very good at what they do. I'll grant them that. But at that time, with all that influence and all that money and power, they really weren't very conservative. And these were the three issues we had with them. Number one, they were very pro-gay at the time, which is not like a conservative value. So they were out there saying, like, they had one of their influencers, his name was Rob Smith, and he was going around. What's that?
I said, I know him.
Oh, you know him? Yeah.
Not personally. I know who that is.
Okay, yeah. And so he's very flamboyant, and he would go on stage and say, I'm America's favorite gay black veteran. Okay, but we don't really support that. That's not actually a Christian thing. It's, it's not a...
I mean, you let you know, Deidre, this man is a Christian. He's one of them racist. That's a Christian. And I said early in the broadcast, okay, you are a Christian. Okay, I get it. So that means you're around people that are skinheads or the more radical, more hardcore so-called white supremacists, right? And you're like the softer side, you're a part of the group, that wants to get down and do some serious things while you up there, you a Bible thumper. I don't know how that works in their circle, but I guess they have a variety of people in different religious aspects, or something that brings to the table to balance out their so-called supremacy. I'm just saying. Fair use.
Catholic thing. So they were very pro-gay and like pro-feminism and very pro all these like liberal.
Yeah, because they used to say first wave feminism was good.
Yeah.
And that's not a conservative value. Because to me, feminism is and always has been a hate group.
100%.
Yeah, but to them, and that's why I didn't always think that until you started researching like the early suffragettes. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
And when I realized that's what we talked about, the right to vote, the reason there was anti-suffragettes was because they were trying to destroy the family, and before it was like one vote for the family and you trusted like that makes more sense.
Totally.
But then that was sort of the beginning of the destruction of the family. So it really was one movement.
Yeah, right.
From my point of view anyway.
And I absolutely agree with you. I think you're one of the few, you get it more.
What's that, Leader?
I'm just laughing at, her point of view and things she's saying. I'm just laughing.
She has no point of view because she regurgitates a lot of talking points.
Right.
The only reason why she has the channel, the following she does, because her audience base, she focuses mostly on minority people as a whole. If I go for her channel, I see some pictures of a few black people, mostly black women, some celebrity gossip here and there, but that's pretty much it. There might be some others she focuses on with her own group, but mostly her content, majority is focused on, this side of YouTube.
Okay.
In my opinion. Now, I could be wrong, but that's the vibe I'm getting. And I'm not going to go through every part of the videos that she has on her channel because that's a waste of time. I just go by what is she's well known and what is YouTube promoting, because YouTube is pushing these people. Now, they're not going to push this video. This video she has right here, you see right here, is not on her main channel. Surprisingly. She put it on another channel that has... how many subscribers does this channel have? Let me check. I kind of want to run my mouth. This other channel she has, it has no commercial, surprisingly. And this was done 3 weeks ago.
Right.
And it's by a guy named Highlighters. And he posts this, and he has the timestamps for each one. Anti-Defamation League, Kanye West, first interaction, Topo Ash. Oh, then he has. Oh, I should have looked at this earlier. My fault. What I'm doing? Okay. Well, I'm gonna keep this one up because I'm finding the timestamps now. All right, let's keep going. Fair use and effect.
More than most conservatives, actually.
Yeah, and well, it was because I started researching because I couldn't figure out why wouldn't you want to vote?
Right.
Because someone said the majority of women didn't want it. And then when I found out you had to be drafted in order to vote, I would give that shit up so fast.
Yeah.
And so I asked a panel of women, and I said, if you had to be drafted, would you give up the right to vote? And they all said, yeah, they would give it up.
Yeah.
They'd learn so many recipes.
Yeah. Having a good time at home, hanging out.
Okay, so pro-gay, pro-feminism, and what else was the third one?
So those are like one thing, because that's just like social issues. Like they're very liberal on social issues. The other thing is they were in favor of legal immigration. Charlie Kirk was going around, and this was his line. He said that we should staple green cards to diplomas. In other words, every foreign student that comes to America, he said he wanted to bring them in as an immigrant.
Okay.
And he said we could bring in 50 million immigrants in 10 years.
And you're not pro-immigration?
No. And that's not a conservative position, especially not 50 million people in 10 years.
Right.
Because America's got 300 million. So, what is that? 1/6 of the population in 10 years.
And so why is that?
Why does he support that?
No, why are you against pro? Because in my head, see, I hire people from Africa, right?
Right.
Shout out Blessing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she does hire people. And Blessing is a woman, I believe, from some part of Africa. And this is the part that everybody got all in their frenzy that, she hires black folks. And her views about black people in America and black people in Africa. So let's listen carefully, shall we? Fair use and effect.
And I just see like the work ethic of people that are like not from America, and they often work harder than the people that are from America. So in my head, it's like, wouldn't it help us economically if we had more, like if they had a certain like mindset in order to come here?
There is a lot of truth to that, and I'll agree with you there. Particularly like Hispanics in America, very hard. The Africans too. I mean, because I met
Nigerian Americans I'm pretty sure they out earn white Americans.
They do. Their median income. This is old statistics,
Indian,
but it's like 80,000.
What's good, Queen of Virtue? If you're so kindly, Queen, since you're here and watching and monitoring my show, I would love if you would like put the donation tab if you can. I would appreciate it. I forgot, but like I said, I would just let the tape play for itself. So if you so kindly could do that for me, I would appreciate it. All right, let me see. And make sure you guys like the stream. Fair use and effect. Oh, and the call line is in the chat room. Should I pin it? Let me see if I can pin it. I'll repost and pin it. Fair use.
$1,000 a year.
Yeah.
They're, Iranians, all those immigrant groups, they're very productive.
And it would make my job easier too. Like, because I'm thinking of me, so I'm a woman, a selfish perspective.
Yes.
Like if immigration would be easier, it'd be easier to get some of my employees from England to the U.S.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and there's economic arguments, and we could go there for a minute. I agree with you. They're very hardworking. The thing is about immigration, though, the only way to view it is that it benefits two groups economically, and that is the immigrants themselves, because it's of course, they're ascendant. They're, moving from Nicaragua to America,
Right.
like you're moving up in the world. It's also the firm owners, the capitalists, the people that own the businesses. Of course, what is the business's biggest cost? It's labor.
Correct.
And so a Nicaraguan or a Honduran or whatever will take less money, cheaper wages than an American, because a cheap wage in America is a higher wage than whatever they're earning in Central America.
It's more deeper than that. And let me pin this. It is more than that. America is able to hire low-wage workers is because they want the same productivity for a fraction of the cost. Look at most of your businesses, most of your corporations that I guess have products that sell here in America. They get all their stuff done overseas because the price for paying people to put out and create the same products are a fraction than paying someone here in America that's, I think the minimum wage right now is like roughly $8 or roughly $9 in all states. Some states it goes 10 to 15 but they could pay somebody $1 or $2 to produce the same product for a fraction and paying someone in America roughly $10 or more an hour. So if you're a foreign person that comes to America, you will fit well here. And mind you, another secret they don't tell you, not every person that comes here through boats or they swim to the shores here, all of them on the average go through what they call what's the word? A lottery. Or if they don't go for a lottery, they go through what we call, they come to these countries already with money in their pockets. So don't be fooled that they just got here on their own merit. That's a lie. That is a lie. And they've been telling this lie to a lot of American people for decades now. So that's just a side note. Let's keep going. Fair use and effect.
Or Asia. So the immigrant benefits because they make more money, and the firm owner benefits because they get to lower their labor cost. The loser in that equation is the American worker, because there's a competition for jobs. There's a labor market, and in the same way that a consumer makes a decision about where to buy something from, employers have to compete for labor.
But wouldn't you say when you do that, there's less innovation overall as a country? Because, like, I'm thinking, so for I'm just thinking of it as like a business point of view, right? So my content team, like one of the ways we've grown so fast is because my content team can push out so much content because I hire people from Nigeria. And with the extra money we have to do that,
you hear that? You hear that? And Mary, she's now her base is in the UK. So it's easy for her to go to people that's already Africans from Africa that's living in the UK, where there's a good population of Africans and Caribbean people in there, to get that same outcome and pay them for less than a fraction. And trust me, the UK bill or the dollar, United Kingdom, goes a long way. It's actually a little stronger than the United States fiat currency. So you could pay that same production, that same activity for very less. Imagine that. Let's keep going. Fair use and effect.
I can invest in like a second part of the business. Like we're looking at managing YouTube channels for like big marketing companies. So then it's like a whole sector of the business is coming from the profit we made from one. Does that make sense? So then overall it's like we have a bigger media company, and like in the end I probably will hire more Americans because there are different types of jobs that people from Nigeria would do versus an American.
Yeah, there's an argument there about economic growth.
I'm not like, I don't know all the stats and stuff when it comes to, I'm just thinking like in my life as an American, that would make my life easier.
No, and that's actually a very cogent point.
And then it's like, because then it's like the countries that do allow immigration, wouldn't they have an advantage over us where they could outcompete us in the long run?
Yeah, well,
before we continue on that note, keep in mind that when she refers to her workers, she referred to you people as objects. You're here to serve me, to make my life comfortable. Keep that in mind, African people. Keep that in mind. But most Africans nowadays, they don't mind working for master nowadays. Hell, they sell enough black people from Africa over here to the shores of the Caribbean, to South America, to America. So they don't mind selling out personally. And I know that's just an insult, but I gotta keep real with you. What else I want to call it? You let other people still go into the land, take the resource. Hell, they let the West did it for decades until the Chinese came around and said, we're going to give you some for, parasiting over you. I mean, that's how I see it. So why not this, Lily, Caucasian woman from Chicago, now living in UK, doesn't do the same for you Africans? I mean, hell, she called blessings of, an object. So anyway, let's continue. Fair use effect.
And that's the thing is, there's no question that bringing in immigrants grows the economy. Like that's not even a question. It grows the GDP. Of course it does. The question is, though, for the people that are graduating college now in America, they're having to compete with, and it's impossible, having to compete with people that are brought over on an H-1B visa. And that's why I don't consider myself like a libertarian or like a capitalist, because while I do recognize just on a mechanical basis, like that is how things work. You're right. It grows the economy. What's happening now is that so many immigrants are pouring over, both low-skill and high-skill immigrants, that American workers are struggling to get jobs and are actually, the college-educated Americans are underemployed. And so from the perspective
but it's also because it's mostly women graduating and they're getting these.
Now, I don't know what this has to do with women, but it said Americans in general are underemployed. So depending on what degree you got, a very useful degree, you might be underemployed because, let's be honest, if we deal with the business side of things and a capitalist system, why they want to spend money on you and pay you the wage you are really entitled, born and raised in America, where they could pay somebody that finally gets to America just to look forward to do any job or any work. And let's be honest, I'm going to say this, and it's going to be insulting. Majority foreigners that are not part of America, they're not going back to the homeland and spend money to go retire. I'm sorry. That whoever told you that's a lie. Majority of people that once they come to America and taste the fruits and glories of America, on the average, most of them will stay in America and live and die in America. Period. No person that was not born in America, rather black or non-black, mostly they import non-black people, mostly, Europeans or Spanish, mostly white ones over here, is really truly, they come here, they stay here and spend their money. That's it. Now, the ones that do go back home, they're at a point in their life where, they just want to go back home because they just want to go back home. But overall, once you, as a person that's not born and raised here in America, come here and taste the success of the actual American dream and doing very well, you're very less likely going to go back. It is what it is. Because one thing is evident about poverty. Once someone is impoverished, the last thing they want to think of is going back to a impoverished nation. And that's something they don't like to talk about. And yeah, guys, if y'all feel generous, donate to the channel. You see the cash up in the display. Let's continue. Fair use in effect.
Bullshit ass degrees.
I agree with that.
Like
yeah.
it's you want me to feel bad because you can't get a job after you got a gender studies degree.
Well, but even STEM majors, are underemployed. People with I know a guy.
Oh, even people that got a STEM major unemployed. Let me rewind that back for y'all. For those guys and nosebleeds in the back. Hold on. Let me do that. All right. Listen again.
Majors are underemployed. People with I know a guy from UC. Immigrants are pouring over. Both low majors are underemployed. People
graduating and they're getting these bullshit ass degrees.
I agree with that.
Like
yeah.
it's you want me to feel bad because you can't get a job after you got a gender studies degree.
Well, but even STEM majors, are underemployed. People with I know a guy
graduating and they're getting these bullshit ass degrees.
I agree with that.
Like
yeah.
it's you want me to feel bad because you can't get a job after you got a gender studies degree.
Well, but even STEM majors, are underemployed. People with I know a guy
graduating and they're getting these bullshit
immigrants are pouring over.
Guys. I'm trying to find.
Majors are underemployed. People with I know a guy from UCLA who has an engineering degree. That's a great school. That's a great degree. He's struggling to find a job. And there's a lot of people like this. And so we're putting young people.
So, I kind of flipped back and forth, rewinding back as best as possible. But the man said, even people that have the degrees that really are useful are struggling to find jobs. It lets you know how capitalism really works in America. You might go for a 4-year university and get yourself a 7 degree. And I'm not saying you're going to get a job. It's going to probably be harder in a global economy now where, like I said, more people are coming from other countries, learning the same skill from another country and getting paid less on the table rather paying you what is your worth value. So keep that in mind. No type of degree now in a global marketplace we're in that you're guaranteed any position or any job. Now that they are taking advantage of importing more people that learn the same skills as you and they're going to pay them less than you because you are more American than them and they don't know how American capitalism works. So obviously they're going to pay them more under the rug for less and probably not pay you at all. Keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. Fair use in effect.
In the situation where, you can't support a family on a single income with a high school diploma as an American. So you have to go to college to get an advanced degree. Well, college is super, super expensive. So you have to go into debt. Graduate from college, even with a good degree. Then
couldn't you go to a community college would you still say?
Again, there's ways that you can do it that's more economical. But the reality is for a lot of students, they are going into debt. It's not everybody, but they do it. And then they come out of college with an advanced degree and they're competing with people from India. And Charlie Kirk is saying, we're going to staple a green card to your diploma and let you live here. And, and that's just not really fair to all and I agree with you. There's a lot of inefficiencies in the economy. But sometimes you have to do right by your people. Like with Social Security, it's the same thing.
I can understand
you know what I mean? Because 10 years ago, when I was like a big libertarian when I was in high school. I'm saying all the same thing you are, like bring in as many immigrants, and that is the turning point.
I didn't say as many as possible.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. But yeah,
I didn't say let's staple it to the college diploma.
yeah, that's just turning point.
I've heard though that sometimes what happens to country, because I used to read Sowell, Thomas Sowell a bit, and he would talk about how oftentimes, like, they'll take out an immigrant population in a country, and that.
See, I told you to reference these so-called white supremacists like Thomas Sowell and all this shit. Oh damn! Hold on, guys. Yeah, man. Reference because these are people that they idolize and worship, and I don't know if they read their work, but these people that they keep reference. And, that's one of her bigger supports. Wait, hold on. I think I got someone on the line. Wait, who's this? All right. Yeah, so let's keep going. Fair use.
Industry will just fall apart. Like, there aren't really the replacement in those countries for those jobs.
Yeah, I think he talks about Southeast Africa, the Indians that were brought in by the English.
I thought he talked about a Jewish population when the book, but I read this a couple of years ago, so I don't really remember.
Yeah.
But I remember that concept, and it made sense to me because, and it's kind of like nowadays everything's going digital. There's so many jobs where 10 years ago you'd have to have an American editor, where now I can get one from Nigeria. Right. Like, how would you combat that?
Well, I mean, to some extent you can't, right? Because it is a global economy. The communication and transportation technology is creating this integration that has just never happened before. So that is a big part of it. But there are still a lot of jobs that just have to be in America. And you'd be a little bit surprised. Like, when you're a content creator, that's one thing, because it's a media business, which, and I'm in a media business too, but it is like a fake business in the sense. I don't mean to downplay.
Okay, we could say that. I mean, because think about it, this media that we all participate, because this is, YouTube and any other media that we, invest our time in intellect. It is not really a big media. It is, like the guy said, Nick Forte said, it is a fake, But like I said, this fake media has more eyeballs than the real media, like Fox News, CBN, and all this other stuff. So I could agree with him on this point. And also I could disagree because, if this is all fake, because we do our own little due diligence research, we could actually get more attention than the regular bigger heads that have the money and capital for the media. Imagine that. But anyway, let's keep going. Fair use.
That's okay.
Your business acumen. But I mean, it's not like you're actually making a product that someone's going to consume. You know what I'm saying?
Correct, yeah.
And when you look at businesses, people would be surprised. There's a great book about this by Ian Fletcher. He talks about how people would be surprised how little the economy is globalized, like how many businesses exclusively do business in their own country because of how prohibitively complex and expensive it is to truly do business in another country, to truly outsource. And so the point is, we want to protect American jobs. We want to protect American workers. There's a real problem in America where the cost of living is exploding and wages are stagnating.
It is exploding because the fiat currency, as you know, and how they like to hoard all the money to the top and not give and distribute the money, things are going to constantly keep imploding. Wages were designed to be stagnant since the 60s because, let's be honest, globalization, if we want to be honest, really began during the end of, and I'll give it a time span, after integration in the United States. I think once the country decided to integrate, that's what, in my opinion, they just start to shift gears to go global, or be in the process of globalizing every other nation across the earth. In my opinion. But that's just me. Let's continue, and I'm about to wrap this up a little bit because I think I reached the part where a lot of people have been talking about. I might not give my own interpretation because what you're witnessing right now, this is the first time me seeing the actual video in its entirely, and there's more. This actual video live stream is roughly almost 3 hours and 30 minutes, or maybe almost 4 hours, which I'm not going to cover. But I'm only going to cover some of the more pivot points that I gave my own take, and some things I might have missed, because let's be honest, if I play the video from somebody else's perspective, you're not gonna get a really good understanding. So let's continue. Fair use in effect.
And, I used to be one of these guys that was like, well, I want to debunk that, or I don't care about that. But it is true. Mm-hmm. When you look at how much people could make with a high school diploma back 50 years ago relative to the cost of living, it's more than it is now, just strictly looking at the same numbers. And a big part of that is because there are just simply more workers.
Isn't one way they inflate that, though? Because I remember Sowell talking about this, and he said the problem is they increase the cost of, in the stats, they'll increase the cost of living, even though 50 years ago, someone on lower income wouldn't have air conditioning or a TV, but now they're included in lower income. Yeah. So when they have those stats, I thought they kind of misconstrue those.
There are many ways.
I know they're going to say I'm so out of touch. I am. I'm sorry.
No. You're actually, you're pretty smart. Because you said when we were talking, you're like, oh, I'm not really that political, but you're pretty with.
Nick. Come on. Poor Nick Forte. This woman is not. No, she's not that bright. I'm sorry, bro. She's not. Nick Fuentes. No, she is not. She is not. She, like most ladies, there's not really much of an insight from listening to some of their content personally. It's all regurgitation at the end of the day. But let's wrap this up. Fair use in effect. Fair use.
No, I mean, I'm talking about the foreign policy stuff and the Jewish stuff.
You're business savvy.
I'm more like the internal stuff.
Sure.
Like I just look at how things, go in my day-to-day life. And even my dad would talk about, his parents lived off of one salary. Mm-hmm. His dad was a fireman and he did HVAC. Mm-hmm. But they also had a lower cost of standard of living. Right. Yeah, and so a lot of times they'll say, oh, you can't afford it with these wages. But I talked to a lady in, because I always talk to the women, I say, would you go down in lifestyle for a family? Mm-hmm. And I talked to this woman that's in Florida, and she raised 10 kids on less than $10,000 a year. Wow. And oftentimes, it's that Americans want, especially women, we want a certain lifestyle that we can't afford. And a lot of Americans, are on lifestyles that they can't afford. It's I found out they're going to say I'm so out of touch. I am. I'm sorry. We did 2 weeks of groceries on 40 pounds. And I was like, there's no way you could do that, but you can actually. Mm-hmm. And what else do you need in terms of oh my gosh, they're going to say I'm out of touch. I am. But one thing that I've heard is that they do inflate those numbers. Mm-hmm. And is that not true?
It is true. Okay. You're right about that. And it's I wouldn't say it's necessarily inflated, but it doesn't take into account, like you said, the quality of life changes, because that is big, having a flat screen and those kinds of things. There's all kinds of ways. And
cell phones.
Cell phones, yeah.
You're on government benefits, but you have an iPhone.
Right.
You couldn't even get an Android?
Yeah, right. Or Cricket Wireless or whatever. Yeah. And Sowell's very good on that. But it is true that the education has gotten more expensive in absolute and relative terms. Mm-hmm. Education, the price tag is bigger than it was 50 years ago.
But they subsidized it. That's why.
And relative to income. Back in those days?
No, there's no subsidizing. Your wages are the same. Income and the education or tuition, just a 10 or whatever, goes up. Wages have been stagnant, and as long as wages are stagnating, everything else goes up. So by default, you as an American, for you to get ahead or get any footnote, you're going to have to play the debt game and put yourself in debt. And even putting yourself in debt is even detrimental now in this system now.
But it's also true that now everybody needs a college degree to get a solid job.
Really? I didn't learn shit in college.
Yeah, but I know you don't learn anything, but it's about accreditation. You get the diploma.
Really? I don't know. Because
enough of that. And like I said before, if you had to get a college degree just to get a basic work, that tells you the deeper agenda. Mr. Nick Fortes, just to ask the question, you need to answer your own question. And I'm not knocking education, but if you're playing the educational game, unless it benefits you where you can get the same outcomes without getting yourself in a lot of debt, and if you had to get in debt, let's say we had to entertain the debt, you would make sure your debt is no greater than, depending on the degree you're trying to seek out, your debt should be roughly under 20K. If it's a higher degree. Anything that's lower, you better keep it under 10 grand and under 10 grand at best. At best. That's my suggestion. But that's it. I'm done with this. Make use of this video as you like. Like I said, I found this. I think it's called a Zoom something TV or the Mad Zoom on YouTube. Look for them. They got the actual video of this. I think that's the name of it. Yeah. For more clarity, I would highly advise people, and this is just a side note, and I'm not other content creators do coverage, even include me. Find the actual video of this and do your own, commentary of this. One thing doing this content thing personally, I'm not gonna really do content when someone else talks over it. I like to do the content for myself, either good or bad, and give my own sense of conclusion of it, because it gives more transparent and more sincerity from my own perspective of this. And I highly advise everybody else do the same. If you're a content creator, do not be lazy. Do the work, please. Other than that, you can now follow me on Twitter at ChaosRain7. Add me a friend on Facebook, Eric Rain on Facebook. Also, follow me on Rumble. I will put that in the description at the end of this video. For y'all to follow me on Rumble. I will surely appreciate it. Matter of fact, where is it? 1 second, guys. So I'm trying to find the links. Yeah, it probably be in the description because that's where all the links are at. And is this? Oh, here it is. Oh, here it is. Well, you know. And all other previous videos, I want you to go back to replay of all other videos done here on the Chaos Rain Show. I will surely appreciate it, like everything else. And also, please join my Discord service as well. That is on the About section of the Chaos Rain Show. And let me see, anything else on here that I forgot? Nope, that's it. Thank y'all for listening to today's stream. Please leave a comment at the end of this video. I want to hear from you. And always leave a like. I sure will be anticipating that. Other than that, thank you for listening. Until next time, let it chaos reign.